My name's Jason Gilbert.
And I'm Sebastian Mierau.
And we're here and really happy to be here because we're going to speak about something that is so important to all of us really, and that is health. The true meaning of health and the three pillars that we need to understand to be able to obtain it. Sebastian, I'm really looking forward to talking more about this.
That's right. So the first pillar is eat well, the second one is move well, and the third one is think well.
Yeah, and right now they're labels, and we'll definitely dive deeper into those and you'll understand why they're all so important. But what's really important to understand first is that everyone has their journey towards health, okay? And many people only really stop to think about that when they already lose it. So in other words, they're born healthy and they're healthy for a certain amount of time, but unfortunately, implementing unhealthy activities in their life, disease comes or some other symptom, and that's when they start to think about their health. So the idea behind this, isn't it, Sebastian, is to not go through that unpleasant path, because when people get sick, they may or may not feel better after it.
So you can also look at this course as an upgrade of what you do already. So there might be one or two things that are already not going so well for you with your health, and you might focus especially on that when you do this course. But at the same time, there are also things that you can upgrade and feel even better. So we really look also for optimum health, which is something you're really...
Totally. And as we've talked about before, what I often say, and I wish that I was born with, was a user's guide, a manual that was explaining every single aspect that I need to understand to maintain a healthy life. Because myself, and I know you as well, Sebastian, we all go through situations in our lives where symptoms come along, where we lose function bit by bit, and because of an incorrect definition of health from way back, we are actually aiming towards the wrong thing. You know, so if we were born with that user's guide, we'd know what to do. Just like cooking any one of our favourite meals and having a recipe to do it. The idea behind the course, guys, is that we're going to give you the recipe and all of the elements necessary, not only based on our experiences, but our clients' experience and every other person, whether we've researched with scientists or specialists in their field, or just lay people on the street that also have very valuable stories to pass on. We learn from all of them.
Yeah, and what I'm really passionate about is that sometimes you don't have to go into the suffering to find the solution for things. And so we've gone down the route, we have made a lot of mistakes on the path, and just figuring out actually what works and what are the roads where you have to think, okay, this is something that is really specific for this body type, this is more specific for that one. And we found actually a way to take the suffering of like, what is right for me? I have conflicting information here. And so we bring that together and make it a whole module that gives you context to all of that.
That's exactly right, tailor-made basically, you know, because everyone's needs aren't the same because we're all different. Now, my course towards health in a very concise manner, I'll explain to you guys, but I lost my health by removing mercury fillings in an incorrect way. So I had a huge intoxication of mercury. I had many symptoms. I had recurrent and frequent GI problems, you know, due to the fact that my gut wasn't working correctly, my immune system was challenged. I had bad sleep. I had foggy brain. I'd be forgetting halfway through a phrase what I was going to say. So I knew something was wrong. I really had to do the hard work myself. And I often say to people that, you know, firstly, each challenge that we're faced with is like a crossword puzzle. We have to sit down and figure it out. We have to put the pieces together. And if we're following a model that's incorrectly based around what people understand as health and it's not, well, we're not going to take the right path, are we? How was your experience, mate, with your health through your life?
Yeah, I think the main reason why I dove really deep into health was because I came from Germany to a country, New Zealand, that didn't have the same health system, or at least not the perceived system and safety net that Germany would have. So I realized, okay, in order to feel safe, I just can't get sick. So that was actually my journey started, where I looked at what's prevention like? How does it actually work? And many of us have gone down the route of, okay, a really extreme diet or a really extreme regime that we followed. And after 2 or 3 years, you might realize that doesn't really work. You know, like some bodybuilders go really into protein, and suddenly they get or carbs, or the opposite. And both of them have side effects. And that's their journey to learn, okay, I found my balance now between of X, Y, and Z. Similar to me, like went into raw veganism eventually, then figured out, okay, that doesn't work, introduced certain foods and realized, oh, it's actually not, it's not the extreme, it's more like, what's the balance, what works for me, and then started to use tests that you suggest so much to your clients as well, whether it's like actually what does your gut do? What does your blood
measure
says?
function?
Yeah, exactly. Do all of
Yeah.
those things. So testing is really, really important to actually understand where's my level of health at the moment, and we will point out those tests as well, so that you can have more certainty about where you're actually sitting and what you need.
Exactly. Now, when you think about it, guys, most of us spend more time caring for our teeth or our cars than our health. It's really hard, and we understand that, and this is once again why we're here to clarify it. But let's start with health. Let's start by saying this word is something that everyone wants. But what actually is it? Now, many people understand that health is actually how they feel. They wake up feeling well, they're energetic, and therefore they think they're healthy. But in actual fact, a lot of people wake up today, for example, tomorrow, and they'll wake up and they'll be dead by, the afternoon of a heart attack. Now, they feel great in the morning. So if they're basing their health around absence of symptoms, in other words, feeling good, unfortunately, that's not the case, because a problem like a cardiac problem will often, the first symptom will be a heart attack. Okay, and the sad thing is 50% of people that have a heart attack will die in their first heart attack. So it's a little unfair if we rely on our body to advise us. Now, we're used to cars, for example, a modern car advising us when there's no oil, because the light will flicker and we'll know to put oil in it. But we don't often get that reliable system in our body. We do know, however, in a car, if the light was flickering, it would be silly to ignore it, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. If we didn't put oil in it, we're going to burn the engine. So many of us get used to this idea of basing our health on the absence of symptoms. However, when symptoms do come along, if they do go via certain medications, which are great at doing that, or just ignoring it, the person can actually think, oh, I'm fine, it's gone. But no, the problem caused the symptom. We've got to recognize that isn't necessarily the problem. It's the sign of an underlying problem.
Yeah. What I found really exciting is that there are some easy exercises or observations that you can do in your life to realize where you're at. Because health doesn't go overnight necessarily, but really gradually. And you might not realize that, a year ago I was able to do this and now it's only that. Because it's so gradually, day by day, just a little bit, the weight comes on a little bit more, and you don't realize actually you're puffed now that you come up the stairs, because it comes really gradually about. And we have some really great exercises to actually figure out where you're at by now. With your age, you should be fine with this, should be puffed by that. Simple tests like that can give you actually a bit of an idea of where your cardiovascular system sits right now. And I find that really exciting. We just get a little bit of a stick in the sand and said, that's where my health is at. And then also, you got some really general suggestions that make such a difference, certainly made a difference to my health.
For sure. And
bringing them in, and just cover your bases by doing these steps every morning, or, within your health regime.
Yeah. What you just said actually is so accurate. It's that whole thing about losing our health gradually and not feeling it. Now, let's imagine, I always compare being healthy. But it's like when we're born, for example, we're born mainly, like 99% of people are born with full health.
Yep.
So it's like actually being born with a full, very healthy and wealthy bank account. Now, throughout life, we spend that money and our bank account goes down slowly, right? We don't feel it because it's in increments. Our health is something very similar. We may lose it due to the wrong diet, to sugar, for example, to negative thoughts, to not being as active as what we should be, and many other factors that we'll talk about. But the point is we lose it gradually. So symptoms that Sebastian was talking about, for example, going up a flight of stairs that might not have been tiring a year ago, a lot of people aren't making the connection between that. Okay, so it's really important to understand that, hey, don't wait for that to happen. Don't wait for symptoms to happen, okay? Understand what true health is. And secondly, if those things are happening, really give it a lot of importance. As much importance as you'd give a car if it's advising that it needs some sort of attention with the motor. Now, the second really important definition that people use to base their health on health or not is the way they look. Look, I'm looking good, I'm looking healthy, I look fit. How often do we hear that? Or he was really fit, he looked really fit, or she looked fit, but he died of a heart attack. Okay, you've already used that that example of a heart attack, but it could be anything else. It could be, for example, let's remember Patrick Swayze and Farrah Fawcett. I'll always remember those two cases because I know, and the press followed that, Patrick Swayze had pancreatic cancer, late stage, and I remember seeing him like 3 months before he died, even 2, and going, wow, he doesn't look like he has cancer. Okay, so for anyone who's been to a cancer ward with family or friends and seen other people receiving chemo, they'll also relate to what I'm saying. People don't necessarily look sick when they are sick. So that's a really, really dangerous, I guess, parameter to use if you're going to measure your health or not, or use to know if you're going to go towards health. So look, at the end of the day, what is health? Health is a really easy to understand concept, and that is when your cells are functioning 100% correctly. There's a word for it, homeostasis.
Yeah.
And that's how most of us, as I said, are born. Most of us are born functioning 100% well.
Yeah. What I'm really excited about is that through our work, we see a lot of people that really look after their health. And you know that we have a perceived idea of what age will have what level of health attached to it. When I'm 30, I have vibrant health and a little bit of issues. When I'm 40, my knees will go slowly. With 50, and so on. But reality is, and that's what we have observed so much, is that age actually little to do with how our health really is, what level of health we have. And so there are certain things that you can do, and just taking that idea away that you have to suffer and that your health is going when you get older is absolutely not true. You can actually, I've seen people who are in their 70s and 80s, and they actually have still vibrant health in their mind. They eat well, and you can see it. And they're strong. They're stronger than I, some of them for sure. And that gives me a lot of hope that it's not age that takes the health away from us. It's a lifestyle, and because it happens gradually, you might not notice it and you just blame age. But in reality, this course can really help you to just put those fundamentals in place and turn it around and just increase health again.
And there's simple concepts. They're really simple concepts. Now, there's a lot to talk about. We could talk about it all day, but we want to keep you guys interested. So let's lead to what we'll be talking about in the next episodes. And that those three pillars are eat well, move well, and think well, which Sebastian already mentioned. Now, eating well sounds like it's really obvious, but it's actually not. Eating well will also encompass anything that we are ingesting. Okay, so that could be, for example, toxins in beauty products or cleaning products for the home. Okay, it could also include, for example, if we live in a moldy environment. You know, a lot of people don't understand just how toxic mold is for our body and how much it challenges our liver detoxification processes. Of course, we're going to talk about the more obvious elements of eating well, okay, nutrition. We'll also talk about toxins that a lot of people aren't aware of. For example, why is gluten or why is lactose in dairy products bad for quite a few people? Okay, so these things are really important. You know, with the think well, as we talked about before, thinking well is, our mind is everything, isn't it, Sebastian?
Well, your mind also really controls what happens in your body. And there are fantastic cases that we will share where people just made a decision, that I changed my mindset. And there might be people that were extremely ill or just about to die, and they turned it around. And whatever it exactly does, and Jason is great in explaining actually the connection, the body-mind connection. It will just help. But overall, just feeling good and having a positive mindset, just quality of life anyway.
For sure. We've spoken to people, for example, just by, at the end of the day, and this is a trick we're going to pass in the course, hey, just lying down before you go to sleep and being grateful for 2 or 3 things during the day. Just little tiny shifts. The idea, guys, that you're not daunted by this whole process to get healthy. It'll just happen. But we have to look at the cells on a level, of a cellular level, say what do they need, what don't they need, and supply what they need and avoid or get rid of what they don't need. And then the last, I guess, pillar of health is one that often people understand the importance, but they don't stop to think about why it's important, and that is move well. We need to be moving well, and we're in a society that's more and more sedentary. Okay, we're actually like animals living in captivity. Any animal that you get from the wild and put into a cage will not be healthier for that reason. And domesticated dogs, you'll see that. You bring them off a farm, put them into someone's backyard, they're definitely not happy than what they were before, and they're unhealthier. We've got to remember also that we are now the sickest animals on the planet. The only other animals that are as sick as us are the ones we care for. So a lot of this, guys, is taking it back to nature. Understanding genetically what we're programmed to have and be provided with, and mimicking that, and we can do it.
Yeah, very excited about it. So let's
get into the first pillar.
Yeah, I see you on the other side.
Okay, cheers guys.